It's hot out here today, but breezy, not too bad. All right, so I've made a lot of video clips over the past couple weeks trying to explain what's happened here, but I think it's better. I think it's better if I just do this and just do it this way, basically. So let's just get into it, and I'll show you what we're dealing with. When I left for vacation, there was a plant right here. Now there's crabgrass. Let me explain that. When we got back, 1935.5 Caspers was completely yellow and crispy. And obviously just pretty much dead in the water. So I pulled it, and then we were only left with one plant. Here's the one plant. Now take a look at this. Take a look at this. So we've got some problems, some big problems here. A lot of growers probably say it's time to pack it in. I'm not going to say that, however. So first of all, let's talk about what's going on here. This is most likely yellow vine disease, even though I was spraying for squash bugs that carry it. It's still possible that we contracted it anyway. So you can see what happens here is these vines that get infected, they go yellow over time gradually, and then they turn into this, which is just nothing. It's dead. Now, some of these vines are obviously affected by this. Some of them not so much. And I probably waited longer than I should have to take care of this, but we're going to try it now anyway because I feel like maybe I've got a second wind in me. If we look over here, this side of the plant looks healthy, or this section, let's say. This is basically one vine, one side vine, a tertiary that I missed, which it's lucky that I missed it because it still looks healthy. It's the end of the plant has got a little cobra shape. The leaves look nice and green. So very different story than what's going on over here. Also, I have two fruits set on this vine. We got one right here. We need to take off this leaf because it's encroaching and tearing it up on the side. But this pumpkin is holding up nicely. It's a little guy, obviously, for July. And then this one I set as well. This one is definitely a self-pollination. We got a little bit of stem cracking, but I filled that in. Well, did I fill that one in? I haven't filled that one yet. This one I filled right here with some sulfur powder, and that's healed over nicely. So that's not a problem there. However, of course, we got a little bit of something starting right in there. So we need to be on the lookout for that. My last ditch effort planned here is to amputate or sacrifice, however you want to put it, the majority of this plant. Maybe even most of what used to be the main vine. And then maybe see if this stuff will grow. Of course, we've got a bunch of weeds over here. I'm not going to be able to manage the vine as I would like, but if we can keep this side vine from getting infected, the fruits will stay set and grow. It's just a matter of whether or not the progression of the disease has reached that point. So we don't know for sure. What I do know is the side vine right next to it is infected, and we need to completely cut it off from the main. It's entirely possible we need to cut off everything, including the main, right about here, in order to, like, I don't know, save this plant. I put that in quotes because I don't really know if it's going to stay healthy. Because I don't have enough experience with this particular affliction. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to get out my loppers. We're going to cut this thing up, and we're going to see what's left. All right, I've started cutting into this. As we look at this, one of the calling cards of yellow vine disease is the inside of the stem here starts going yellow. That's why they call it yellow vine disease. Right here where the where the channels are. So that's what's happening right here. So we can be fairly certain that this is some kind of a definitely a systematic killing of this plant with this disease. Let's take a look at the main parts of the mane here. This mane looks not bad, honestly, so we might be okay on the main vine. It may be just that several side vines were affected, and perhaps the central hub, or at least where the crown is still going to be okay. Okay, so another calling card of yellow vine is obviously fruit degradation. So as you can see right here, this may have been set at one point, but look at that. It's rotten now. Developing mold on the bottom, just completely rotted off the stem right there. Same thing. This is the same thing would happen to this. Of course, this looks terrible as it is, but it hasn't gone completely rotten yet. So there's another thing. Okay, something else we're looking at here. This is a cross section of the mane, pretty close to where the still healthy side vines are. So I don't know, it looks pretty yellow. I don't know if we're gonna be able to keep it or not, but we're gonna try. All right, here's what we're left with after I've done all the lopping. We've got one side vine, which is the secondary number 1. On the left side of the crown. And then look down here, these two secondaries are still looking fine as far as I can tell. I haven't seen any like suspect degradation on these vines yet, so I'm leaving them in place, even though the main vine looked a little not great. But I sprayed alcohol and we put some sulfur powder. The sulfur powder really helps in keeping these things from rotting on the end. Really does a good job of kind of soaking up some of the excess liquid that comes out when you cut these things. So I'm definitely gonna keep rolling with that. We've got a rogue tertiary coming out right here that I am going to let go for the moment. Yes, I will let that go for the moment. And then, of course, on side vine number 2 is where we have these two sets, if we keep them. Now, I would actually prefer to keep this one instead. It's been growing faster than this one. This one will be difficult because there's another side vine coming off right there that we need to keep. And so yeah, this one would be preferable. I would be pleased as punch if the plant overall survives and we get something, maybe, let's just say a pumpkin to the point where I have to get out the hoist and use a lifting ring to get it loaded. I would call that maybe a moral victory for what's happened to this plant. So we'll keep watering. Obviously, we got a lot of weeds to get rid of here. I'm probably going to spray most of that and just kill it and get all that out of there. The stuff closer to the vines I'll pull. Same thing over there. And actually same thing over here where my field pumpkins are. Oh boy, one of my field pumpkins is wilting. This looks like what happens when you get squash vine borers. However, I'm not seeing I looked at this earlier and I didn't see any indication of that. I think it just wants more water. Or it could just be this particular plant may not be very heat tolerant. That could be a thing as well. But we need to get inside because we have the not so friendly skies creeping up on us. So it looks like we're going to get some rain anyhow. So as far as the rest of that work goes, it's going to have to wait. And hopefully we get some good rain. And we'll see if this does any good. So I would encourage all of you to stay tuned. I'm not making any promises here. I could come back in a week with another video and just be like, yeah, it didn't work, it's dead. Or we could have a miracle here in the Myers patch and end up with a fruit. Who knows? One other thing I want to mention before I go, new growers who have difficulty growing. You know, this hobby is very difficult. Keeping a plant like this healthy, especially if you live in an area where there are a lot of bugs that could destroy it, like the squash bug or the squash vine borer. It's not easy. If it were easy, a lot more people would probably be doing it. So don't get too discouraged, even if you come up short one year, because every even great growers have that year, you know, or you get a big pumpkin and it cracks, that sort of thing. That's happening. It's happening to some of the great growers. I believe I just saw in Big Pumpkins, Andy Wolf lost a good pumpkin to a blossom end crack. It happens, So keep your chin up and try to keep on going.